Anybody that's a co-host, you have to hit okay or something, come from the pop-up. And we're so darn excited you could join us tonight. Um, we have a few announcements. Um, Jan, do you want to start us off? You
Let's
the
start with
first?
Grace.
Grace, okay,
Grace,
wait a
talk about
minute.
the retreat.
Let me find Grace. Where are you? Wave
Here.
Grace. Oh, there you are. Okay, let me spotlight you for everybody. There you go.
And by the Grace, everybody was commenting on how pretty your bedspread is.
Oh, thank you. You know, now that Ramsey's not here any longer, I can actually show my quilts that I have on my bed. Before it was just a sheet because that was her bed also. So, but thank you.
Did you make it?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I've done a couple quilts along the way, but mostly memory quilts, like with photos on it that I did for my in-laws and such. So, no, quilting is too tedious for me. I like instant gratification.
Am I supposed to hit okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm getting registrations in for the retreat, so that's great. It was very slow in the fall coming in, and I'm going, is anybody going to show up? And I got I don't know, 4 or 5 of them again today. So I'm glad to see them coming in. And I'll let people know as we decide what we're going to do for little classes and such. And I don't have that all down pat yet, so I want to wait to do that.
You got a couple lined up though, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
And the dates?
Oh,
319 through
must I have this ready?
Yeah, it should work. It's 319 through 323. I looked it up beforehand so I could
Oh,
cheat.
that's good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I had to get my phone out here.
So you can come for one day or the whole thing and just have a lot of fun.
And we had a very full house last time. We pretty much filled all the beds, so if you're going to be staying, get your registration in. Not that that will make a difference, but I'll get it entered sooner or later here. But
And
I mean, people were pouring in at the very end, and I'm thinking, okay, how many beds do we have, Jan?
Grace holds your check until the retreat. So if something
Yeah,
comes
until
up and you
after
can't
the
make it.
retreat.
Yep.
Super.
Okay.
Sign all up. Head to the retreat for spring.
Yeah.
Who's next with announcements?
What,
Before
Doris?
I talk about meetings, Doris. Okay, where's Doris? Come here.
Okay, I just wanted to let everybody know that I still do have some room left on my tour to the Czech Republic. We spend 5 days in Prague and 9 days up in the bead factories. And it is April 25th through May 8th or 9th, something like that. And I have to release the hotel rooms by the end of the month. So if you want to go, I need to know within the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Super duper.
And a lot of, and we have one member coming with me this time, and in the past, several others have. So it's a
It's
fun
a
time.
really, really fun trip.
Is it every year?
No, usually every 12 to 18 months.
Oh, okay.
That's close to a year.
That's pretty much.
We're so darn excited. We have a lot of upcoming meetings, and we are so excited to say our Let's Be Live in February 22nd is with Vicki Hutchinson, and it's all about live botanical trinkets. And so I don't know if you've ever used them before, but you can basically shrink them in your oven. So it's super easy. You can get a kit from her. And it's a lot of fun. So if you want to, all the information was sent out in your president's letter. Also, it's on UMBS website and everything. So then you can get hooked on a whole new craft thing, just because we have crafting ADD, I really, why not? A little instant gratification here. And so we're so darn excited for that. And then in March 3rd is Betty Steffens, excuse me. And so then our March 8th Speed Live is actually in person on Saturday. So I know there's 2 live events with the retreat in March, but the Monday meeting will be Zoom, but the Saturday Let's Speed Live will be at the Edina Senior Center, and we're going to be making the Tree of Life, the beaded wire pendant, and Natalia, the other half of Be the Vibes with Kayla Bronze Wenzel. She is amazing wire wrapper, and so she is going to be leading us. And so at 1 o'clock at the Edina Senior Center is when we're going to start the meeting Zooming live, but we'll have open beading earlier. And so that will be at like 12:15, 12:30 until 3:30. We'll have open beading and everything. So come on, put March 8th on your calendar. And so that's a local here, Edina Senior Center event. And so there's just so many fun things going on. We really want to make sure you put them on your calendar and join us for all sorts of fun.
When is our next live monthly meeting?
Well, we're trying to have one a month. So sometimes it's going to be a
Ah,
monthly meeting,
okay.
sometimes it's going to be a Let's Be Live. It's going to alternate here and there.
And
So that's
and the
where
local speakers will always be live.
right.
Rochelle, can I say something to the group?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to let you know that Leslie Fruman is going to be teaching 2 classes on February 28th and March 1st through the Great Lakes Beadworkers Guild. She's teaching her brand new project, which is called Diamonds, and her other one I can't remember. But if anyone wants to register, they can, because it's by Zoom.
That's something that we could put on Facebook.
Yeah, do you want to send the information?
Send it to me. I'll get it on. I'll get it on.
I'll send it to
Rita
you
is
tomorrow.
so you can message her on Facebook, you can message email, you can
And Leslie also has it on her website.
cool.
So I will send you the information tomorrow.
Yep. And we'll gladly
Yep.
share it to the group.
I would really love it because it would be great if we could get some more people to take her classes.
Sure.
Yeah, I love Leslie Freeman's stuff. She spoke to us about a year and a half ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
To our group. And so her stuff is so amazing. So if you haven't watched it, you can go see Leslie Fruman on our YouTube channel and watch all of our different programming in our archived events. And then there's the private channel, which is the password. If you have lost the password, then you can contact the members and we can get you the password. Unless we're allowed to say it here, we're all members. So
Yes, we can say it here.
I'm a
the
member.
password is members. So if you didn't get
No,
just the
no,
joke,
member,
Capital M.
capital M, no
member.
S.
No
member.
S, just single member.
Capital.
So that's how you get on the private one. And let's see, are there any other wonderful announcements?
Rochelle, you might want to ask for an assistant.
Oh yeah, I really would love somebody who has some computer possibility non-fear of that would love to join for our live shows that we have in person, so that I have a technical assistant, or if I can't come, then we don't have to make sure that I can't be there. So that's where a big technical group and some backup staff of helpers. And so Sandra, is that you raising your hand? Oh, sorry.
I can.
So
I can
it's
help.
running the cameras and the
I tell
computer,
you,
right?
if I learn more, I will definitely help out in the future. I am
Yeah.
still in the learning process. You know that I'm a little ill. I was actually adjusting my light. I bet you in the
I kind of figured you
bet-
were doing something like that. Or
I thought
petting
how brave
cat,
you
I
are.
just
No,
had to pull you out,
No,
yeah.
I tell you what though, if I learn more and get more comfortable in the future, I would definitely help out because
Well, it's one of those
I,
things,
I'd
so
like
that
to
means
be
you
there
do
for
have to
the,
go
I'm
to
so
meetings.
illiterate.
I
So
know.
funny. I
You
thought you
know,
were
I'm a team
volunteering.
player. Shelly, I don't have your info. I wanted to talk to Shelly about making
Yeah.
bread. I don't have your number.
I can give it to you, Sandra.
Put it in the
But,
chat to her.
Yeah, there's a private message in the chat. You can private text
Yes.
message each other through
Thank
there.
But
you,
I
because-
can help you with cameras.
Well,
Thank
yeah,
you.
also means
I
like
need-
you'd
I need
have to
that,
like run the computer if I wasn't there. You'd have
Yeah.
to take the computer, you'd have to start it, you'd have to plug it all in. You'd
I
have
need
to do
some
all
mentoring.
that stuff
I
without
have
me.
plug-in experience.
I need
That's
mentoring.
good. I
Probably
like that.
definitely.
That's good.
And
Does
so-
your husband do plugins?
That's funny.
Sandra, can your husband help you? How about a husband helping you, like me?
But I'm gonna say when I was seeing you guys interacting, I mean, I love my husband and he's very technical, but I hate asking him for help.
Yeah. I understand.
Well,
I love him dearly. We
comfortable.
do get along on certain things, but other things I would rather eat my own hand than ask him for help. And
Yeah.
I love him dearly, but oh my God, especially if it's
You
about
got it.
anything technical. He starts getting that, and he starts mansplaining, and then I get really mad, and I don't like it.
I have a female friend who does that, and I just want to slap her.
So it
Really?
doesn't
Just tell me
matter.
what to
And
do.
that's why
I will.
we're all artists. We get better along with our beads than, the technology. And so, but that brings us to our wonderful show tonight. We are so excited because, oh my
honey,
gosh,
come
it
over
is the
here,
middle of winter
Can
and
I
I
say
have the most
something first,
colorful
please?
person I know that we could find
Wearing
to
a
brighten
colorful
up
shirt.
our February, dreary doldrums here. And so we are just so darn excited. Betty Cox has done
Hi.
Battle of the Beadsmith. She's done Battle of the Bands. Oh,
Battle of the Bands. That was my son who did that.
I know.
And her husband is a
It's-
Twins
it's-
fan.
oh my
My
God.
husband. This is
And-
David.
ladies.
Can
And
I
help
make
me
one
out.
small announcement first?
Please.
We've had fairly good response to people updating their membership, but there are still a few that I would like to remind. Please pay your membership dues. They were due
I hope
the
I'm
end
up.
of December.
I mailed
Thank
my
you.
check in today.
Thank you.
I might
Rochelle.
too.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those late people.
I
Not,
might
not
be
a problem.
late.
I just wanted to remind people that haven't paid yet.
Am I paid? I don't know.
You get a
You get a
complimentary
free
1 year
year.
for tonight, Biz Betty.
Okay, I
Oh,
wasn't
thank
sure if
you.
I have to pay because I wasn't sure, but
Okay. So I need
me
to
know.
make this screen. I need to
Yep,
show.
so now you can share your screen away. Take it away, Betty.
Okay. As soon as I get this, okay.
No worries. We have our knight in shining armor here helping.
Can you
Rochelle,
see
ask everybody to mute.
transfer?
Wait.
Yep, everybody who's not
That's
Betty,
okay,
then
that's
let's
okay,
mute so
Casey.
that way
That's okay.
the
if they see-
dogs don't take over the show here. We'll let Betty take over the
That's
show.
okay if they see that.
Okay, well,
Don't hide my face.
can you see her whole face?
No, they cannot.
See her beautiful face. That's all we see is you in your wonderful kitchen.
Can you
So
see
that
my
when you
face?
share the screen, then we'll see her on the side,
Don't hide me
and
too
then we'll
much.
see whatever pictures you share, and that
Can
will
you-
be it. Everything will be blacked out.
Can you see my entire face?
I can see your entire face.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. Can you all hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yay. So I'm Betty Cox. My middle name is Musser. That's my maiden name. I changed it to my maiden name. So anyhow, I am a bead artist. I also do mixed media. So I've been bead embroidery mostly since 2009. I've done polymer clay and resin. And I'm just going to start my show, if you call it a show, is kind of all over the place. And I've used this collect, we transfer. Do you see my entire screen here? Do you see all these pictures? Do you see them all?
No, you need to share your
Oh,
screen first, dear.
okay. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. And what I'm going to do, basically, I was invited to do this simply
Hit share
because,
your screen whenever you want us to see your screen. You got to hit the green arrow that says share.
where is that at? Where's the share? Oh, is this blue right here? Let's see. Okay, where is that? Oh, here it is. No, that's me. Is
So when you
this
hit share, then we should see the screen, your screen desktop.
desktop one? No, that's not it.
Whichever is the one that has your WeTransfer on it.
Hmm. Mm, mm, mm. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
We see a few other things too. Do you want to
Yeah.
make your
View.
screen wider?
Yes. Let me try to make it wider.
There
And
you go.
do you see this little box that says invite anyone to view? Do you see that? I want to get rid of it.
Yeah, we do see that box.
Let me see if I can get rid of it.
Can you click on the background and maybe it'll go away?
Yay!
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So you see all of the pictures here on this one screen.
We sure do. And if you want to
Okay.
stretch it out a little wider, otherwise we do see a little bit of the trees on your desktop. It's up
Oh,
to
you
you.
don't like trees? You know what my daughter called them, who lives in Northern California? She was out here. She said, all of those dead trees. I said, they're not dead. They have no leaves on them right now. She doesn't know what goes on out here in the Midwest. So anyhow, I'm going to talk about color. A lot of my pieces are all colorful in case you don't know me. But anyhow, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of history about who I am. And I'm going to start out, I'm going to show you my very first screen. So you're going to, oh boy, you're going to start seeing, oh, here they are. They're all popping up. And sorry if you're seeing all of them at once, but this is my very first screen I'm going to show you. So it says, how and why color is important in your life as an artist, or does it really matter to you? And can you see my little caption? Is it readable?
I can see it.
I don't know. Maybe you all need magnifying glasses. Basically, what I also wrote is why and how does color influence your creativity when you decide to create a jewelry piece or an art piece? And is February a depressing kind of month, except for you all who live in Tucson and California and Florida? So, is it a depressing kind of month for starting a creative jewelry piece or a kit? Is color the first thing you think about, or is it the theme, or is it the beads, or is it the combination? So, I was going to mention that when I taught aerobics back in the 80s and the early 90s, somebody said to me, is it the music or is it the dance? And I never thought about that. So it's kind of like the same thing with beads. Is it the beads? Is it the theme? Is it the color? Or is it all the above? So something to think about. So anyhow, I am going to, all right. Now, all of my pictures are kind of all over the place, so you have to forgive me. So I'm going to be scrolling around. I know what needs to come next. This is a picture that I found, and you don't really have to write this down, but if you want to, something you might be interested in looking up online, it's www.empower-yourself-with-color- psychology.com. .com. There's so much about color and why we choose certain colors. In case you didn't notice, if you start seeing my work and when I start showing it to you, you'll notice that pretty much everything I do is purple, purple, purple. And I don't know if it's because I think I'm special, but people who like purple, it's supposed to be calm. It's supposed to be royal. I mean, everything I've read about people who like purple, like the LA Dodger, is it the LA? I don't know. My husband just walked away. The Lakers, they use purple for their team. It's a vibrant color. Sports teams use it. So there's different colors that like green is an uplifting color. Um, money, banks use green. Money is green. Grass is green. So it's a very trusting kind of a color. So if you want to look up all this and find out, oh, I use yellow all the time in my work. Yellow is a positive color, enthusiastic, it's happy. Pink is like Barbie, feminism, playful, young. Blue, I notice some of you ladies have blue colors on. Blue is very loyal and professional and very trusting. And Rochelle likes to wear a lot of orange, and it's very optimistic and friendly and warm. So if you kind of want to, if you're drawn to certain colors, you might want to kind of Google some of this stuff. So just thought I'd mention that. And then I'm going to show you a picture. This is what my head looks like when I'm looking at color and beads. And let's see if I can find this picture. Sorry about this. Da, 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 da. Here it is. This is what my brain looks like when I'm looking at beads. What your favorite color says about your personality. So, and just in case you all didn't know, I was a nurse midwife for 23 years. I worked in a hospital. And when I saw this picture, some of these ladies, when they would scream their babies out, I had longer hair. My hair would shoot straight back because they screamed so loud. Does that sound familiar to some of you? If you ever delivered a baby and screamed your baby out, well, that's kind of what it reminded me of also. So anyhow, I had a lady come up to me last year in Tucson at my booth, and she's standing in front of my booth with all my pieces and all my colorful stuff. And she goes, "This makes me feel like this is serotonin overdrive, just so much color." And you know what? She's probably right. I never thought about that. So when you start seeing more of my work, I don't know, how many of you know my bead work? Have you, I know Sandra knows it. Joanne does. Who else does? I don't know. I guess you guys can't talk.
You can unmute to answer, if you want
Are
to.
you allowed to unmute? You're allowed to talk to me. I feel very
Yes,
alone.
I yes, I've seen you many times at Bead and Button.
Who said that?
Doris.
Oh, okay, Doris. Of course you did. So, some people are overwhelmed by color. And a bead friend of mine who was a nurse that I worked with, she is the opposite of me. We would do little local shows together. Her stuff is all tans and browns and golds, and my stuff is all bright colors. So we were the opposite ends of the earth. But anyhow, we complemented each other. So anyhow, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how I got to this point and why I did beading. I grew up, I was a musician. I have a music degree. Not that that means anything, but I was a cellist. And let me see if I can show you a picture just to prove it to you. And then I'm going to move on to beading. Where am I? I'm in here somewhere. This is what happens when you use a program and you can't move pictures. Well, there's a small picture I just saw. I know, it just disappeared on me. Anyhow, I'm going to show this to you. This is a small picture. This is me when I was 15 or 16 years old. I grew up in Columbus. I went to Capital University for a freshman year. Then I went to Bowling Green. Did anybody survive the winter? What is it? The blizzard of 78. Since some of you I see a thumbs up with Shelley. Anybody else? Okay, well, I was a senior in college at Bowling Green and I was oblivious to it, but it was a really devastating blizzard and some people died from it and cars were buried on the freeway. So talk about February. This was in January that this blizzard, it was one of the worst blizzards ever. So anyhow, if you can Google it, the worst, the blizzard of 78. So anyhow, I wanted to mention that. I moved to Michigan, Oakland Community College to take some science classes. And then I did a 380 and I decided to go to nursing school. That's a long story. Anyhow, I went to Detroit Mercy, University of Detroit, Mercy, and then I ended up going to Chicago, University of Illinois at Chicago, and I got my master's degree in nurse midwifery. And I did play in the Toledo Symphony back in the 70s and 80s, principal cellist there. Then I substituted with Detroit Symphony. So my ex-husband was also a cellist, my kid's dad. I played a lot of groups in Michigan, and I also taught aerobics. So I kind of have a lot of music, dance, all sorts of stuff. So how did I get to this point? Well, I think there's a lot of overlap with music, dancing, art, beading. Anybody else here a musician in their past life, present life? Sandra says yes. Anybody else? What did you play, Sandra? You
I
can speak.
played, I played bass and guitar and sang lead vocals in a band with my ex-husband.
Oh my gosh. What kind
Our
of
band,
music? What?
our band was called Screaming Whispers. And
Oh,
yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say something else, but anyhow,
No, Screaming Whispers. It was
that's
the
hilarious.
90s. Yeah, it was hilarious. And it was
Okay.
the 90s.
And you
And
still have your voice from screaming.
yeah. And yeah, it was interesting.
That's hilarious. I
And then
love
after
it.
I got rid of him, I went out into coffee shops and then with my little guitar and sang original songs.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
If you look on my Facebook page, you'll see, like, if you look way in some of my pictures, you'll see me and my little guitar
You
singing.
know, I did see that.
Yeah,
Very
yeah, that's
cool.
me doing my little therapy. Oh my Lord, you hurt me, and I'm gonna sing a song about it. But they weren't
Very
happy.
cool.
Yeah.
So this,
I played
Oh, I
the
love that.
piano starting at 6 years old, and I
that's
did
awesome.
recitals in
Wow.
where in Phoenix,
You-
Arizona, where I competed with adults, and I actually won them.
And who am I
And so
speaking
I
to?
did that for many years. I loved that. And then I'm also very lucky because I have cousins that some of them are famous musicians also.
Okay, very good. And you know what, music, the arts is so important. You know, they wanted to get rid of cut all the arts, but I was so involved in music. I never thought I wanted to do anything else. And I did play in orchestras and did all that. So anyhow, just wanted to let you know, my daughter tattooed me. This is me when I was playing
Oh,
cello on her arm, but she is covered in tattoos.
I love that.
You love it? And
Yes,
thank you. If I can show you the bigger
I
picture.
want one. Come over.
You want one? You want a tattoo of me on your arm? Is that what you said?
Sure.
Okay. So anyhow, I was very grateful because she didn't get her dad tattooed on her
That
body.
looks nice.
Thank you. And she has cellos tattooed on her back too. So,
Wow.
and her dad and I were both cellists. So, anyhow, I'm going to jump around and say, here we go. I did do this piece. This was, I don't know if you saw this. This is one of my Battle of the Beadsmith pieces, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But this piece is called A Cellist's Dream World. And this is not a real original cello of mine. This is, I call it a cracker box. But this was in our backyard in San Diego. And this was, what year was this? 2017. And this was one of my battle pieces. And this was a bi-jointed doll's head and the hands and a wooden cello, and I painted it. And so it's the shape of a cello, and it's very dimensional. And it actually went to Venice, Italy with one of my other pieces. This was a couple of years ago. And I like to do exhibits. And if you have any questions about that, we can talk about that another time. But I enjoy doing that. And that's probably part of my performance background, you know, being in music. So I like to enter exhibits and doing a lot of all that. So anyhow, I'm going to jump around and go back to, I'm going to talk about all my battle pieces. So my very first battle piece was kind of a scary piece. Let's see if I can find it. I finally just sold it 10 years ago, or 10 years after I made it, which was in Tucson of last year. And it was called All Knowing. And my inspiration was my daughter. and she was in college. And before I show you a picture of it, I'm going to show you what my daughter looked like and why I created this piece. This was my daughter back at the time. She was in college and she was kind of a punk rocker, heavy makeup, you know, some more tattoos. She kind of, that was a little downplaying of it. And beautiful girl, but everybody said, don't worry about it, Betty. You know, she'll outgrow all of her punk rock phases. Here she is again. So she was my inspiration. And so I thought, well, you know, I'll just try to think about her and create a piece. So I applied. This is another picture of her back then, you know, heavy eye makeup. She was a blonde, red hair, pink hair, whatever. This was back in the early 90s. So she had beautiful eyes and all that. So anyhow, I applied. Stephen Weiss still runs it. And so anyhow, where is my piece? So I drew up something, and every time I've drawn something, it never turns out to be what I think it's going to be. I hope I'm not making y'all dizzy here as I scroll through. Where is it? It's called All Knowing, and I always thought my daughter was very wise with people and just had a sense of knowing. So this was a finished piece. Oh, you know what? This is not it. This is my second piece. I get them mixed up. Isn't that terrible? All Knowing has some symbolic features to it. And my daughter is now a therapist, believe it or not. And that's why she's all knowing, because she knows a lot about people. Oh, here we go. Here's me, the tattooed person on my daughter's arm. Very serious person. I'm serious, but not really. Only certain times. Okay. I apologize. I hope I'm not making you lightheaded and dizzy as I scroll. Okay. Okay, here it is. This is All Knowing. Does that look like my daughter? No. So anyhow, very colorful. This is a prosthetic eye, a fake eye, obviously. And there's 3 symbols down at the bottom. Can you all see it? There's a peace sign, but I was told the peace sign is upside down. Then this, the blue face, it's a half of a face. That is a sign for brain disorders. And then the other sign is supposed to be a female sign. So I did this, and at the time, my daughter didn't really know what she wanted to do in college, but my daughter, even though she had this kind of dramatic look, she was very peaceful. Brain disorders, my daughter was kind of majoring in sociology. She ended up majoring in sociology and criminal justice. And we have some people in our family who have some mental illness background. So that kind of symbolized that. Also awareness for autism, and then the female sign. So anyhow, there's teeth here, and my son's wisdom teeth are in this piece. And I actually sold this piece in Tucson 2024. And a lady who bought it, she owned a bead store, I think in New Mexico or something. I don't know. I have to figure out where she owns this store, but she likes masks. And somebody asked me, did you get your son's teeth back? And I go, well, why would I want my son's teeth back? You know, I don't think he cares. But anyhow, I gave up that piece. I was kind of sad in a way, but I'm glad that somebody liked it and wanted it. Stephen Weiss really liked that piece, but I don't think the rest of the people in Battle the Beadsmith did. This model that did this for me, a co-worker that I worked with at the time as a midwife, her daughter did this, and everybody thought this was my daughter modeling, but it was not. This is my business card, and to this day, it's still my original business card. And it's also on my banner when you come to my booth at a show. There's Lauren again. Oh, and by the way, if you ever want a polymer uterus, I did these. I probably have to perfect them. But coming from an OBGYN world, I thought I would make some of these. And believe it or not, some people wanted these. I haven't seen them in anybody's work yet, but I have to perfect them. So anyhow, I am all knowing, and I finally sold it 10 years later. So that's that. My second Battle of the Beadsmith piece. No, that wasn't it. I've already showed that to you. Is called Affair with Dracula. Do any of you remember watching the old movies with Bela Lugosi? Does that ring a bell? He played the original, not the original, but the Dracula. And so growing up as a kid, I think my dad didn't want me to watch cartoons anymore. So he got me into watching all those old Frankens. Oh, sorry. Honey, will you let Rosie out? Sorry, my dog's barking. She wants to go outside. I'm going to call my husband. And so anyhow, this is a picture of how I got the eyeballs to grab onto. This is epoxy clay. Have any of you used epoxy clay in any of your work? Yes, I see Doris shaking her head. I love epoxy clay. And so these are fake imitation eyes. And I needed some armature to settle the eyes. And I love mica powders. And so it kind of gave a real creepy look.
Pretty cool.
Yes, I think so too. I was thinking about using wire and all sorts of stuff, but it was all going to be bead embroidered. So anyhow, this was, you know what? Can I let my dog outside? It's right next door. My husband's.
We'll wait.
Okay, hang on. Hold that thought. Okay, go outside. Go outside. Okay. So my husband is not answering the phone. Okay, so anyhow, that's how I started it, and it worked out beautifully. So anyhow, this is a little better up close picture. I still own this, by the way. Nobody wants it. Well, I have a girlfriend that wanted it. So there's the armature and underneath it. And so I have a picture of the Dracula picture. And I tried to get my ideas from it. But Dracula, basically, you see his eyes and there's light over his eyes and everything else is. She had to go out and I was trying to call you. So you stay here so you can let her in. Thank you. So anyhow, Carol Wells, you all know of Carol Wells. Yeah. So my friend, the first thing I ever beaded was a Carol Wells bracelet, and it's all netting or something. It took me 6 months to do it. It was really hard for me. Anyhow, these are all beaded Carol Wells bracelets over his forehead, his nose, the black nose of the lips. And then I had a zillion Swarovski crystals. So if you ever want extra crystals, I can take this apart and we'll use them. So anyhow, to do all the stuff coming out of the bracelet, I did all of these crystals here. And then I used coyote fangs for his fangs. And then I have imitation dentures. And you can get all that on Etsy. Have you ever ordered any of that stuff? Anybody ever ordered? No, nobody orders teeth like I do. They're not real dentures, by the way. But this is, I get this kind of stuff. And then Shibori material is his cape. And then down below, it's really hard to see, but these are red crystals. I still have some. And I wish I had put them up a little bit closer below his mouth because that would symbolize blood. Anyhow, and then I did branches, and that's supposed to be he's like out in the tree. So anyhow, there's a eyeball clasp up there. And this is all typed out, what I just said to you, if you want to read it. If you ever go back and want to read it, it's all there. So I like to talk, can you tell? So anyhow, I wore this to a bead and button show. And do you all know who Stephen Weiss is, right? Family, part of the Beadsmith. So anyhow, I brought this piece and I went by myself to the show. Nobody knows who I am, really. And I met a couple of ladies from Michigan and we all hung out together. And this one lady, she said, "Why don't you wear that to meet the teachers?" Nobody knows who I am, so I wore it to meet the teachers. I met a whole bunch of teachers.
Wow.
Is talk about brave. I am very brave. So anyhow, Stephen knew who I was and he wore it for me and I took a picture. Isn't that funny? I think it's hilarious. And then a midwife friend of mine, a coworker, this is her daughter. She modeled for me and she just had a baby 6 weeks before I took these pictures of her. So anyhow, beautiful. I think I did her makeup or she did it partial. So I do huge pieces. Do not ask me why. I am 5'1", but everything I do is big. My handwriting is big. This is the Dracula. So as you can see, the lighting over his eyes, that's what makes him kind of creepy and scary. Very cool, huh? Do any of you do bead embroidery, or most of you are bead weavers? I bet you most of you are bead weavers, except
No.
Do
I
both.
think there's a lot of
except Sandra.
embroiderers here.
I'm a
I
bead
live in
embroiderer.
I know Sandra.
I do
what
both.
you do both. Okay.
Yeah.
I
I
do
know what
both.
Sandra does just because I've gotten to know Sandra personally. Joanne, I know, has bought some of my stuff, right, Joanne?
Yes.
Yes.
I do bead embroidery.
I know you do. But anyhow, I am fascinated with eyes, and you know what is her name? And I knew I'd forget her name. Big on the eyeballs. What is her? Laura
Laura
McCabe.
McCabe.
Laura McCabe.
Thank you. Thank you. I've never met her. I am so impressed with her stuff. And the first time I ever saw her work with all these eyeballs, I was on a mission. And I actually I went on eBay and I bought a bunch of pieces of eyeballs, not whole eyeballs, but pieces. And so you know what I did with all those eyeball pieces? I put them in my clay work and I've done polymer. So I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to jump around, share with you what I did, and you're all going to steal my ideas. Not really, but you can if you want to. Well, you know, speaking of eyeballs, here's an eyeball. You know, I had people say to me, "That looks like a Laura McCabe piece," and I go, "Well, you know what? You can only do so much with an eyeball, right?" But I did do eyeballs for a while, but I wanted to show you what I did with the pieces. They were like pieces of eyeball. And I still have some of them. And I put them in my polymer clay and they're really fun. Okay, I'm going to show you. Where are they? They're hiding. And I put them in, um, they're coming. I just know it. Somewhere down the line. But I do animal, more like cat molds, and there's a few cat pieces I see here. This is one, but these are imitation cats. Anyhow, speaking of color, here we go. What I like about polymer clay is the mushing of the clay and making the rolls and, you know, cutting them up. And I could spend 8 hours a day of just doing all this. And this is not a very good moth here. This is supposed to be a moth, believe it or not. But this is what I enjoy about polymer clay, is just the color. But I know I have something in here. And if I don't find it, I'll just move on and share other things. Eventually I'll find it. But that was my Battle of the Beadsmith. I was going to show something else to you. And I'm a lot about eyes and people. Eyes are the window of the soul, right? Am I right? Any of you like eyes? Yes. So I wanted to share this with you. Years ago, some lady contacted me. She was in Paris. She says, "Oh, by the way, I don't know if she was getting married or she was in the wedding." She says, "You know, I have these shoes and they have eyes on them, not fake real eyes, but these are the shoes." She sent me this picture and she goes, "Can you make me a bracelet with an eyeball on it?" And I said, "Sure." So I did. And I just went past it. I showed it to you briefly. And you must know, some of you from, is it Minnesota or wherever you are up there? Um, Barber. Gosh, Rochelle, I forgot his first name. Jeff Barber. I met him in Tucson one year. It's probably the first year I was there. And I see all these eyeballs, and all of his eyeballs are in my work. And so here's one of them. And every single eyeball he created is different. So this is pretty close to those pair of shoes, right? Don't you
Very
think?
close, yes.
Yeah, close enough. So I made that, and you can see daggers and the whole 9 yards. So anyhow, I sent them to her, this to her, and I made some earrings with daggers. And she was happy, and that was the end of that. So I felt very fortunate to have that experience. Let's see. Since we're on the eyeball path, I guess I'm kind of like, my Etsy shop is called Unique and Macabre. Macabre is kind of creepy. I'm always on to creepy stuff. And probably growing up, I remember my mom buying me a coloring book that had monsters in it. And I'm like, was my mom creepy, or is it because I was creepy? I have no idea. Here's another Jeff, is it Jeff Barber? Am I right? Or am I making,
Yes.
okay, thank you. I'm like, am I losing marbles? So this is another example. Look at the colors of that eye. Do you love that eyeball? If you took everything away and just looked at that, could you imagine all the colors that you could put in with that? Isn't that fascinating?
Betty, I got on a little late. I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that polymer clay that he's put a little small iris on? Is that
No,
what
it's
it's made
all
of?
glass,
Oh, the
porcelain.
whole
It's all
thing
glass.
is.
Sorry. And
Wow.
who am I speaking to? Because your voice sounds
Margot.
familiar. What is your
Margot
name?
Yee.
Oh, I know who
Margo.
you are.
Yes,
I know of you. You're the owl person.
that's right.
And I've got that owl piece in here in my pictures.
I just loved it.
Oh, you're so sweet. And there was a newspaper article you sent me.
Right,
I
right.
have it in my bead room downstairs.
Oh, how nice.
Thank you. I know
Oh,
names.
sure.
Oh,
Good,
thank you.
good.
Hopefully we'll get to it. So anyhow, no, he did all these eyes. And so when I met him in Tucson years ago, I said, I love
I'll
these
talk
eyes.
to you after I'm on a meeting
Who is that?
with, sorry,
Okay, somebody wants to talk to me after the meeting. Is that what you said? Okay, whatever. Okay. So anyhow, I love this eye. And so you know me, color, purple and green. Purple and green are my two favorite colors. I mean, I like purple and yellow and orange and red and pink and everything else under the sun. So, and then I have this glass piece. Now, I don't remember who gave this to me or who I bought it from. And then here's this leather lambskin. This is not my best beadwork here. And I really am really bad. I'm going to tell you this, really bad at edging. I hate edging. I hate doing it, by the way. Don't tell anybody I told you that. And then I love this horn here. And so
Yes.
I told people I'm never going to sell this piece. This is my favorite bracelet I made. Well, I just sold it in Milwaukee 2 years ago. Ava Motherwell, it was her show in Milwaukee.
Ah,
And this lady goes, oh my God, I love that piece. And if somebody says to me, I love that piece, I'm going to sell it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to have it. And she was probably my age or our age or whatever. And I was just thrilled, and she wanted it, and it made me happy. And this stone, these purple stones, charite, purple. Purple's my favorite color. That is one of my favorite stones. Anybody else like charite? Raise your hand.
I
Never
love it.
heard of it.
I
I
only
love
can
it.
see a few of you. Oh, I love that stone. Do any of you know the stone gaspiite? Have you ever heard of gaspiite? And you're wearing gaspiite almost, Rochelle. I can see your top. It's a little bit more lime green. I was on a mission one year. I saw this fellow. He was going to sell it to me. He was wearing a big chunk of gaspiite, and I go, I've never heard of that. It's limeish green, hard to find. And he was going to sell it to me for $90. And I almost had no money left in Tucson. And I came back the next day and I go, I'll buy it. And he goes, I already sold it. I was so upset. Anyhow, I do
Jeez.
own some, finally. So this is another Jeff Barber eyeball. And I named this piece, I forget. It's really a funny name, but anyhow, this is an example of really random stuff. I'll like throw stuff together, and that's what I have fun doing, just random beads. And it's a bracelet, and I sold it, and I don't know who bought it, but I have these little silver branches coming out. I thought that was kind of fun.
Huh?
Yep. So, and then speaking of, oh, since Margot, since you're signed on, this is the piece.
Yes, I
Yes.
remember it.
So you all
I
know
loved it.
Mears, right? Laura
Yes,
Mears.
Laura Mears. Mhm.
Oh, that I am so bummed out. You can't buy her stuff anymore, right? Unless you're Heidi Klum or not
That's
Heidi.
right.
Heidi
Heidi,
Kumley.
yes, Kumley.
I'm thinking of Heidi Klum, the model.
Yeah,
Well, close enough, right?
right.
So anyhow, Laura Mears, what a beautiful piece. This is one of her shapeshifter owls, I guess you call it.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
was so thrilled to have this piece. So there's some Egyptian, I guess you call it, opals here, and then oh gosh, what is that stone? I forget, this gold looking crystal. I forget what those are. Anyhow, I just thrilled to have this piece. And I still have this, and I've been offered by certain people to buy it, and I won't sell it to them. I guess they won't.
Ah,
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
it's still pretty, and I have it in a
those are
small
very
shadow box downstairs in my bead room. One day maybe I'll sell it to somebody. We'll see. Yep. And I didn't put down here that it was in your show, Margot.
Oh, don't worry about it.
You need to do it again. But I was so thrilled to
Yeah,
have that piece in there. So
yeah.
anyhow, that is that. And then I was going to show you this Jeff Barber piece. You have to see this. Does this look like a color wheel to you all? Um, you know,
Interesting.
I know, and there's some weird colors thrown in there, but I guess when I looked at it, it has a purple iris. So
Mhm.
that's when I got the purple going on. And then I've got some stones or crystals or whatever you call it over here that brought out the yellow, and then there's some green down here. So I just thought I'm just going to throw all this in there, and I'm just in love with this piece. I don't know where it's at. I think I sold it, but it's fun to me.
Betty, there's a question about it. She's
Okay.
asking, is this all bead embroidery? Or is there some
All bead
freeform
embroidery.
beading in there too?
All bead embroidery. But, you know, I'm getting to some of my battle pieces. I do I do a lot of peyote, and not in this piece. A lot of these pieces are just straight beading. What am I trying to say? Bead embroidery. It's all on stiff felt. Like I'll glue my focal piece, and then I do this real intense tight, around. And then I was totally into daggers. I was like in love. I'm still in love with daggers, but all this intense, tight beading around something. I mean, that was my style in the beginning. This was years ago. Well, when I say years ago, this is probably 2014 or 15. So what year is this? Oh, so 10 years ago. So as time has progressed, my one piece, let's jump to that one. It's called, Naked and Not Afraid. Have any of you ever watched that show? What's that show called? Naked and Afraid. But I had to call it Naked and Not Afraid. So I had foot surgery one year. It was close to me retiring from my midwife job. And so I sat on my butt with my foot, out like this. And it was, okay, this is part of it. Where's the whole thing? Actually, here she is. All my pieces are she's, by the way.
Interesting.
I know. Maybe it's because I'm pro woman, right? I was a midwife with woman. That's what it means. So this is it. It's probably a man elephant, but this is an elephant. And when I was a little girl in kindergarten, I was one of those kids that had what is it when you don't want to leave your mom? I would hang on to my mom's leg.
Like a separation anxiety thing.
Yes, I had that. And so even my cousin was in my class. I didn't want to play with anybody. All I did was draw elephants. And I think it's because Toledo Zoo had the best zoo. And I drew elephants. So Naked and Not Afraid, My Battle of the Beadsmith, 2018.
Wow.
Recovering foot surgery. This is a lot of seed beading, and this was all bead embroidery and a lot of components. You know, you'll see a lot of these little, tangos. I don't know their names. There's some, I have a close-up pictures that are smaller. I mean, close-up that you can see. And then I have a couple of eyeballs. They're green eyes. I don't think elephants have green eyes. And then I have some daggers off to the side here. And this is supposed to be a trunk. And you can't see the back leg because the elephant is supposed to be
Okay.
running. And the
Uh-huh.
elephant is not afraid, naked and not afraid, because the elephant is the biggest animal in the jungle, believe it or not,
Right.
right? It can stomp everybody. And I love elephants, and they're so sweet, and they cry and they grieve over their dead relatives, and they have funerals and the whole 9 yards. I don't think they have funerals, but you know what I mean.
So did you stuff the trunk with batting or is the
Yes,
bat? Yes.
thank you for saying that. Yes, I'm a big batting person, not battering. A big batterer. Yes, I do that a lot. That cello piece that I showed you, that was stuffed with batting. All my other pieces were all stuffed with batting, everything, because that's how I get, it has dimension. I don't I don't like a lot of flatness. I mean, some of my pieces have flatness to them, but I do use quite a bit of batting. Yep, it's got batting in it. Batting in the trunk right here, batting here. There's batting here. Not in the bones, not in the horns.
Tusks. Yeah.
Thank you, tusks. You're right. Yes. And it's not very heavy, believe it or not. It looks heavy, but it's not. And she's downstairs in my bead room. I wish I could bring you down into my bead room.
And about how large is a piece like that? Is it about the size of the owl piece or is it larger?
Oh, it's pretty large. It's probably, and I have chain around it so you can wear it. So from
Uh-huh.
your neck down to, oh, you know what? I wonder if I have my model wearing it. I'm gonna have to look and see if I have a picture of Jana. Jana was my model, and you know what? She did my hair back in San Diego, and she was quite beautiful. And I asked her, I said, could you be my model? And she goes, sure. So I think she cut my hair that day. And then she turns around and put her makeup on, and there we go. Speaking of big, this is a big piece.
Oh, yes.
And this was a little too big. Here's another elephant piece. This is my niece. This is called, I forgot my name of my piece. It'll come to me.
Is it in your captions?
Oh yeah, why don't I read my No, not this one. I just say it's another beautiful photo of my niece because she is beautiful. My niece lives here in Columbus. Matriarch of the Jungle, the elephant. That's what it's
That's
called.
neat.
Pardon?
Very neat.
Thank you. When I get going, I put just about every animal I had that I bought from going to Tucson, and I had a lot of woolly mammoth pieces. And at the time, when I bought these woolly mammoth carvings, I put some things on Etsy at one time, and Etsy took them off because they said, you cannot put those animal pieces on there. And I go, why? They're dead 65 million years ago, They thought I was abusing it or something. I don't know what it was. I go, they're not alive anymore. You know, you can't kill a woolly mammoth. I thought it was ridiculous. So whatever. Okay, I got lost. What was I going to share with you? I just forgot. I'm all over the place talking about a little bit of everything.
It's wonderful to see
Your
these.
your hairdresser. You were going to show us your
Oh,
hairdresser that was
yes,
modeling a piece.
Jana, my hairdresser. No, Rosie, you stop it. My dog is so spoiled. She barks and just wants to go out and talk to the animals in the backyard. You know, there's nothing out there right now. If I keep scrolling and it looks like my pictures are behaving, they keep going on and on. Some of them are duplicates. Jana might, I don't know. I don't think she's going to be here. You know, I'll be bummed out. Maybe I can send a picture to Rochelle at some time. And did you ever see this picture?
Yes,
Yes.
love it.
Oh, you know, I got a lot of flack from some people about this piece. You cannot wear that. And I said, but I'm wearing it, you know? So the history of this piece, and this may not be the piece. Okay, this one doesn't have any caption. I have another piece up above. This piece is called My Life as the Midwife. And what happened was, I'm going to scroll back at the very top because there's a reason behind. Do you see this picture? Okay, so on Etsy, sorry, there's all this weird stuff around this picture because I tried to crop it. But on Etsy, one year, this piece I did in 2016, I was going through Etsy and I wanted to get somebody to do a picture, a drawing of my daughter. And I found this lady who does mugs, and she was from the Ukraine, and she does sculpting of people on the mug. And I said, hey, can you do my daughter? And she said, sure. And she wasn't very expensive at all. So I sent her a picture of Lauren. This is my daughter, the therapist. And this is what I got. And I said, oh, that's so cool. And my daughter hates it, by the way. And so I said, hey, can you do me? And I thought, well, how vain am I to ask somebody to do a picture of me? So she did, and she did my hands. And then I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll just put that face of me and those hands. And I was thinking about doing double me. So she made a big me and a smaller me. And I was going to do this weird thing. I get these weird ideas and it never came about. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just make a mermaid. So what happened is I ended up creating this person who looks like me, sort of. And I had red frame glasses at the time. And these are the hands. And she used Cernet clay. Do y'all know Cernet clay? I had never heard of it.
No.
Yeah, I think I've seen it recently. Stop it, Rosie. Can you hear my dog? I apologize. She's kind of going. So those are the hands she made, and this is my head. And Rosie, stop. So anyhow, I don't know if you can tell, but this looks like a tail down here. She started out being a midwife, a mermaid. And then I thought, why am I making a mermaid? Just make myself. And at the time I was embarrassed to let people know I was a midwife because I didn't want people to know that. I don't know why. So, and there's shells for her shoulders. And I was doing this beading here, this peyote beading, all different sizes. Can you see what I was doing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then I also did the branches for the arms, and that's all I have batting inside, and that was kind of hard because I had to shove that up there. So lots of colors, and these are patients I took care of, but nobody in particular. And so this is my daughter's face and my son's face down here. And then this is my dog who's barking, well, yapping in the background, a black lab. You can't really see her. And I had two yellow labs, and their little heads are down here. And my husband who disappeared, this blue face is my husband's face, and this yellow face is my stepson's face. So anyhow, it all had symbolic meaning. And that's how that came about. The artist's name is Polina Verbinsky, and she's from Ukraine, but during the war, when Ukraine started, she moved to Latvia. So she is quite an unusual person. She does very strange artwork, kind of very depressing sculpture, but very realistic. Then she does more painting and drawing, and don't look her up because her artwork is very disturbing. Just ignore it. So anyhow, this piece, what was I going to say? I forget about it. At the time I was going to go to Ukraine, and I contacted her. This is long before the war, not because of this, but just to go over there. And she said, well, when you come visit me. Is Kiev in Ukraine? I think so. Yeah. I get
Yes.
it mixed up in my head. And she says, well, that she was living in Kiev. And she says, well, come visit me. And she had a studio, and it was just really cool. But obviously that never happened. So anyhow, that's that. And so when I did that piece, there was some drama. I don't want to go into it, but anyhow, I have a few more pictures of me in that. And I have a business card with me. Well, I don't know why my pictures are not moving. So this piece I entered in another exhibition, and I know Betty Steffen was in it, and oh gosh, a bunch of other people. And it was up in Palos Verdes, which is up in LA, and it was called Wearable Art, and it was an international contest, and they had the biggest dresses and the biggest everything that you could possibly wear in the universe. I mean, things that you really don't wear. And this piece was in it, and this is the picture I entered. But anyhow, all these pieces were there. It was all physical stuff, and it was so unbelievable. And it was in 2017, and I have this incredible catalog. And to take pictures, I took a video of walking through this art gallery that had all these gowns that were just unbelievable. I mean, just surrealistic stuff. You can't see my clasp up here because this little black thing up here is part of the picture. I don't know. But anyhow, I felt very, what is the word? Just happy that I got into it.
Yeah.
A bunch of people, I can't even think of their names. But anyhow, they were there. So anyhow, that was fun. And so that was that piece. And I wanted to show you a piece. So you all probably have heard of Bev Choi. Do you know Bev Choi?
No.
She is on Facebook. She is not mentally well at all, but the most incredible, talented artist you could possibly imagine. This is not her best art, but she sent me some clay, Rosie, stop, the most fun clay pieces because she knew that I would appreciate it. And some of them were bug pieces. This is a fly woman's head. And I hung on to these pieces for a very long time. So I'm going to say about a year or two ago, I decided to make a piece out of it. And this is called, I think, what is this, Fly Woman? No, it's just called The Fly. So I made it very randomly, and I put it on Facebook, and I sold it just like that. And probably some really young, fun person wanted it. I mean, look at it. It's crazy wild. And she has a pouch, and there's a stone in there, and there's beetle wings, and she's got weird legs. And it's all bead embroidered, basically, and some irregular peyote stitching and just fun stuff. Little horns coming out to the side. But you know, sometimes when you just do stuff that you think is really creepy and ugly, somebody wants it, right? You guys, you ladies don't do that.
Amazing.
So it kind of motivated me to look at stuff differently. This I sold, it's not my best bead work, but when I did Tucson last year, I always have a grid in the background, and my big pieces are hanging up on a grid. And then I have my kits all in boxes and stuff. And then I have a bunch of, on the table there, I have a lot of my bracelets and, you know, rolled out and laying on the table. And so this piece was sitting there, and every single person that came up, this is the first piece they picked up. And I thought, why doesn't somebody buy it? So this piece is called Lost Alien Women in Space. So these are alien women. And I made this piece, I'm going to say about 4 years ago. And I never did really anything with it, but somebody in Pennsylvania said to me, I love this piece. Can I make it but similar? And she did. And it's more flat. Mine is more dimensional. And I like it because it has flames coming out the back. And you know how a lot of people say women drivers are the worst drivers? They're not. Men are the worst drivers, right? We're great drivers. So anyhow, I sold this piece to a woman and she said her husband had an alien experience when he was very young and she just had to have this piece. And I was grateful she could have it. I mean, I sold it to her.
It's really neat.
Yeah. Has anybody ever seen this piece I made?
No.
Okay, so this is called In Flames, and it's pretty appropriate now for California. I haven't paid any attention lately to all the fires. Are they out pretty much? Does anybody know?
No.
I don't know. You know, I lived in San Diego vicinity for 35 years, and we retired in 2020, right when COVID hit. So one of the reasons for me wanting to come back home to my roots is to get away from fire because it's so, well, you all who live from, out in Arizona, you probably know about it, but the Santa Ana winds that come mostly in September and October, I mean, just a spark can hit and things just take off.
Right.
You get an arsonist that can start. Hi, Rosie, you want to come up? I wish you could see my Rosie here. Do you want to see her? Can you see her?
Oh, how cute.
There she is. She's the naughty girl. So anyhow, this is In Flames, and we had fires back in the 20. No, Rosie, stop it. The 20, after 9/11, I'm going to say 2003, there were quite a few fires in Southern California. And a lot of people I knew, my patients at the time when I was practicing as a midwife, lost their homes, and it was just really tragic. So I packed up a lot of my Laura Mears pieces permanently ready to go in case we had to leave because I was so afraid. Anything that meant a lot to me. It wasn't my clothes or the furniture. It was photos and my beading. So anyhow, this is a Bev Choi polymer head, and she has feathers coming out of her head, but she was a chicken lady, but to me, she looks more like she's coming out of the flames. So I created polymer clay moths, very colorful, and everything is just very spontaneous. And there's a lot of bezeling here that I've done and just random beading over everything. And there's an eyeball here or so, and that probably would represent somebody in the flame. And I was a finalist for the Fire Mountain Magazine bead category in 2021. So anyhow, I still have this piece. So it was a meaningful piece.
Cool.
Yeah, you could wear it. It's not that big. It's probably about like this in a shadow box.
Wow.
And this is, I also did, what is that? Kumuhimu. Who does the Kumuhimu?
Kumihimo?
Yes,
Oh.
that's that chain right there up at the top.
Oh.
Rochelle, who's the Kumuhimu? I can't think of her name.
Adrian Gaskell.
No, she took my class.
Maggie
Oh,
Thompson.
Maggie Thompson.
Yes, thank you. Maggie. Maggie. Yes, and so I learned how to do that many moons ago when I went to Tucson, and they didn't call it Kumuhimu at the time. They called it something else. I don't know. Maybe it was the woman who sold all those fibers and stuff. I really enjoyed doing that, and that was one of the chains that I had made. These are Rochelle's colors, right, Rochelle?
Looks
Rochelle,
purple, orange,
purple,
and
orange,
pink.
and pink.
And
These
I
are
tell you,
pieces
just
too.
so vibrant and fun. They go with my hair.
I know you should wear this piece. Or this belongs on your wall.
I tell you.
Really great.
So anyhow, Am I going over? Am I done? Am I supposed to stop talking soon?
You can talk as long as you want, sweetie.
Really? So I can talk till midnight?
Well,
Not really.
so far nobody is tuned off.
Well, it looks like some people might have left or they go potty or something, you know.
And so well there is that, but
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to show you, speaking of color, everything I do is color. These are a lot of cabochons, and I don't know if you've ever seen my beaded skull purse. I'm going to show you one of those, but I take a lot of cabochons that I've bought from various people and I bead around them and then I put them on the skull purse. I have a collection of these skull purses, big skull purses, small skull purses, and one day I want to do a retreat with skull purses if anybody's interested. You have to like skulls, right? But anyhow, I cover them with all these cabochons. And this is all about me, color. Oh, speaking of color, how about Anna Bronze? Anybody know about Anna Bronze cabs? She usually does bronze pieces, but a couple of years ago she did all these colors of her pieces, and I bought a whole bunch of these skulls. And then this is also stuffed with batting. This one not so much up at the top, the bracelet strap, but this one down below is stuffed with batting, just a little bit. And Ginger Shockey does beading, but she does more of the canvas paint pour. If you're familiar with her, she's on Etsy or Facebook. Anyhow, she would do canvases of paint pour, do colors for me. I would cut them up into strips and use them as base bracelet straps. It is a little bit hard to go through, but actually not too bad. The only thing is I find it hard to keep my clasps through it on the end, but I did a lot of colorful straps with her work. I don't know. Do you
Is
like
it
it?
painted on fabric?
Okay. You know, when you buy a canvas from Michael's and you're going to do
Oh,
acrylic
okay,
paint,
thanks.
that's what it's from. Yeah. And boy, is she good. Sometimes you get a good batch of canvas and sometimes not. So I stopped doing it. Not that because I don't like it. It's just, whatever. And I do still use lambskin and snake and the whole 9 yards. Even though I love animals, I still do that. Mac, her raku work. I did a alien class years ago, and this is one of her pieces this is very random, and I use bike chain. Where's the bike chain? You can see a little bit of it in here. And I do different colors of bike chain. I do purple and green. Here they are. Here's purple bike chain. Have you ever thought about using bike chain in your work? Here's silver. Da da da. Here's purple. That's fun, don't you think? And then I beaded a bail up here so you could wear it. They're not very big. They're about like this.
That was a very cool idea.
Thank you. I knew you would say that.
I do. I think that's really cool, and the faces are just super fun.
And those are her faces. Mac, right? Yeah. This is more raku-ish, the silver one here. The purple, it looks more like painted. And then I did the eyeballs. I put the crystal eyes in there. And then this is the green one over here. It's got a little green. She did that. And see little aliens here? I got little aliens going on.
I could
I
see
have a
them
thing
going to
about-
the Mardi Gras.
Say what?
I could see them going to the Mardi Gras, like someone wearing them to Mardi Gras.
And I like aliens. Do you like aliens? I kind of figured you might too.
I do, and I also am afraid of them.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid of them. I don't want to really see them.
I find them very intriguing, and I
It's
really
intriguing.
like sci-fi, so I love sci-fi, and I find aliens intriguing, but I'm also
You're nervous about it. I am too. I'm nervous about I want them to be beautiful looking. I want them to look like us, right?
friendly. I'm starting to get over like things not looking like me, like spiders. I used to be scared, really scared of spiders, but now I see that they're actually beautiful in their own way, and they're just trying to live their life. So,
Right.
I'm starting to get over that and appreciating other types of beauty,
There you go.
not being so afraid. Or I'm still afraid of centipedes.
Oh God, yes.
There's
Those are
too many
yucky.
legs. There's just
They have too many legs.
too many legs. But a spider, they're trying to help us out in their scary way, and they keep their men down. So no
And
offense.
they're afraid of us. Think about it.
They actually
Okay.
are. They actually are.
So this is one of my skull purses, the very first one. This was one of my battle pieces. Oh, what year was this? I have to look. I stopped looking at my notes. I just decided to talk. I think this is 2022. So
I
who's
love
this?
battle pieces.
I do too. They're the most fun. So
Too.
this
I think so too.
I make the big pieces. So anyhow, this piece is called Icy Skulls. I mean, it's really kind of a not very unique name, but the skulls are all on the top. And then there's a few random skulls. And, I use a lot of cabochons from lots of artists. And then who is this woman? Does anybody know who this is? Who?
You.
Yes. Don't you love her hair?
I love everything about that's my favorite picture and piece and everything. Love it.
Favorite picture of me, you were going to say that.
I do. I like pictures of you. I like I use myself as my
As your model. I know you do. I know
I
you
think it's
do.
funny. There's a reason. It's like I growing up, people said I was ugly, so now I like to
No,
be.
they didn't. They never said that about you. No, they didn't. I can't believe that. Well, you're not ugly. You're gorgeous.
No, I am.
You're not.
I'm fabulous. No, and my mother was really really beautiful, and she was like a model, but
I saw her, but
yeah. So people, I didn't know her, but people would say, "Oh, she was so beautiful." Gosh, it's so bad you don't look like her. Like,
that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
gave me a phobia. So now I'm my own model.
You are gorgeous. So Anna Bronze, and Anna Bronze is from Russia. She didn't come to Tucson probably this year either, but she started doing color with her bronze pieces. And here again, I did the canvas paint pour. See, I would love to do paint pour. I'm one of those kinds of people, but you know what? It'd be another thing I'd have to learn to do.
And so
I
do you really have a favorite now, Betty, that you're doing? Because you've done everything under the sun. Do you have a favorite that you're moving on to now next?
You mean a favorite what?
A technique or like
I really need to get good at bead weaving because I'm a crappy bead weaver. Don't tell anybody I said that. I'm telling you all you bead weavers. When I moved out here years ago, I said, I'm really going to get good at that. But you know what? I just got busy doing all this other stuff. I like the mixed media. I like throwing in all this other stuff. Like I bought some dinosaurs and not real dinosaurs, but big not ceramic, but they're like made out of all this not plastic, but resin. And I'm going to coat them, not coat them, but put leather and snake and fish and all sorts of stuff. And Ava Motherwell, right? She's all big and chunky, and she came to my house and did one of those shows where she brings all of her stuff, and I invited some people. And I don't know, I like putting other things in things, and I like themes, and I don't know. I don't want to leave beading, but I always have an idea or a theme. Like when I do a big piece like the Battle of the Beadsmith, there's usually a theme and there's some meaning behind everything I do that's big. I love dinosaurs. When I was a little girl, I had all those plastic dinosaurs, like little boys probably like that, but I liked it because my parents bought them for me. Maybe I was supposed to be the boy in the family. I don't know. But I love dinosaurs. And one of my 3 wishes in life was go back in time and be invisible and hang out with dinosaurs. Seriously, they flip me out. Well, I guess it's like monsters and
Come see my little bird. He's a dinosaur.
Well, birds are related. You know
They
that.
are.
Birds are related, and I
Yes,
love
they
my
are.
birds. I love my birds, and they wait for me every morning to go out and feed them.
They
So
do.
anyhow, color extreme. This is serotonin for my brain. I love it. And you know, my friend, I owe her, she's a nurse, retired like me. She lives in Oregon now. She's divorced. She has kids that are grown. I learned a lot from her because she did not lapidary, she did lamp work, but she did a little bit of everything. She did bead embroidery, bead weaving, and then we'd go to local shows in San Diego. And then we started going to Tucson, and she knew a little bit about everything. And I owe her a lot because I don't know, as soon as I would start doing something, I felt like these chemicals flooding in my brain. And there's something about the creativity of all of it and the color and just going down into my bead room. If you were all here, you'd want to open up all my drawers and see what I've got going on. Just opening up the drawers is like that picture of the woman with all the color flying out of her head. That's how I feel. Do you feel that way? Does anybody feel that way?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
So
I
is
don't
that
know.
where you start your inspiration to start a piece, is just go through your parts and pieces?
Sometimes. And stuff that I made years ago, like sometimes somebody will make something for me and I'll ask them, well, when I say they make it, I pay for it. I don't do anything. Nobody does anything for me for free except Bev Choi. But she doesn't do that anymore. But Anna Masters is the one who did the elephant. Oh yeah, I got to show you the other owl piece. I asked her to do a Sphinx cat with dragon wings, but it's about this big. And I have it laying on my bead table and I can't share it yet because it's still in the works and it's kind of dark and kind of, I don't know, it's like I'm constantly doing things with it, but I'm taking out all my Sphinx cats that were created from a mold that I have crystal eyes. And you know, a Sphinx cat doesn't have hair, right? They're kind of those hairless
Oh,
cats. But I saw a Sphinx cat on Instagram or somewhere, and it's black, and they're just kind of unusual looking. Their ears are kind of like out like that. So anyhow, Anna Masters, she lives in Prague, I think. I don't know. She made this cat, and it's the center, but it's almost, you can barely see it because I have so much stuff going on. So all these old Sphinx cats that I made are going to be part of this big piece. And there's eyeballs and there's stuff from Anna Masters, her stuff that she has made over in Germany and Italy. And I like putting all this together and a little bit of this from Michael's haunted house stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. And crystals and sequins and my piece that I did this year for Battle of the Beadsmith, I'm going to whip that out. Let's see if I can find it. Are any of you bored yet? Probably. This is me playing cello in Jordan, the country Jordan in 1983. I was substituting with Detroit Symphony, and their symphony musicians, not me, but I got asked to be in the orchestra. This is a chamber orchestra, small string orchestra. And we went to Jordan, and I was living in Detroit. And this is me right here, the cellist. And there was only two cellists in the orchestra. It was very small. And so this Jordanian doctor who lived in Detroit facilitated us going over there. And they were bombing Lebanon at the time, about 250 miles away. Anyhow, we were there for 10 days, and I'm in my middle 20s. This was an eye opener. Leaving the United States and going to the Middle East was a big eye opener for a 20-year-old. So anyhow, this was an experience, and this shows you me playing on stage. Okay, I'm going to go back and say, I'm going to show you my battle piece. This is the battle piece of 2024. You know, a lot of blue in this piece. And Rochelle said, can you make this bigger? And I can't, use my fingers and expand it. But
But all your stuff is on your Facebook page and your stuff, so people can
Instagram,
find you. Instagram is where
Mhm.
people should find you. And
Yes.
that's Betty Cox. What's your Instagram?
Okay, they have that little at. You don't have to do that at, but it's capital I. Let me write it down because
Yeah, type it in the chat, sweetie. And
where's
then
the
everybody
chat?
can see it close.
Where's the chat?
Well, if you hover on the bottom, you'll see the little words chat, like right next to the word share. It's on the zoomy part.
Oh, so click chat. Click the
And in the word where, yeah, because you saw the word share, and then next to that should be like
oh
chat. And then you
to
can type in the chat
oh
right over here, and then everybody can follow and see closer, because then
okay.
you can zoom it on, yeah,
I
and see it
love.
all.
So it's really hard to read. It's a capital I love to buy eyeballs. 1956. That's the year I was born. So so really what that says is I love
Like the letter
to
I and then
capital I,
LOB
and they're all lowercase. So really what it's
to
I love to
TOBY
buy
eyeballs 1956.
balls. So the only capital is the capital I and
So,
1956. So
whoops,
it's capital I and then
I did that to
lowercase
the wrong
l.
person.
It's really hard. So when I do it that way, you can't read it. But if you just do a capital I and then lowercase l, t, b, e, 1956.
LTBE.
L, no, I, L, T, B, E.
Okay,
Oh,
1956.
Yes.
Okay, so I just typed it into the chat. I thought you said I love to buy eyeballs.
Well,
The whole spelling.
that's what that means.
I know, but I typed accidentally. I love to buy eyeballs. Like the
Don't
whole
do that.
thing.
That's what that means.
Oh my God, I love it. That's
No,
hilarious.
no, no. No,
That's hilarious. And
but
so
that's what that
ev-
really means.
everybody can then follow you and then see
Mhm.
everything more up
Well, you could be
close.
my friend. You don't,
We
it
want to
doesn't,
be your friend.
please
And
be my friend.
you're a new member now.
Yeah.
So everybody
Well,
can
I
now
paid last
message
year.
and you see your stuff on our private group as well, on our private Facebook group.
Hmm.
And
Where did
hopefully
it
we'll
go?
see lots more of all this beautiful.
Okay. So, will all those pictures that I put on there be on it or no? Whatever I showed and shared and talked about will only be on the video. Is that
Well,
right?
they're going to be on the video here for everybody to watch, and they can see it on YouTube. But then, wherever you shared them, because you probably put them online, they'll see them
Oh
too.
yeah, everything, pretty much everything I've done is on. Mostly, I like Instagram best,
I
but
do too.
I have a whole lot. I have about 4 or 5 Facebook pages, but I don't go on all of them. And then once in a while I'll go on them and I'm like, ew, yuck. I mean, people put all sorts of weird things on those
Yep,
Facebook pages that aren't mine. People are friends of yours or mine or whatever. And then I
right.
have to, ooh, delete, you know what I mean? Um,
So yeah, so we will mostly find you on Instagram if that's where you prefer, and that's where you put
yeah.
everything. And we want people to follow you and
I
find
would
more
love
of
that.
you. And then we'll also see more of you at our upcoming meetings because you
Yes,
are
I
now
need
an
to be.
Upper Midwest Bead Society member.
I know, and I was, but nobody knew it because I wouldn't always show up.
And so, but now so this is the whole point. So we want
I
more
need to.
as
I
fun
need to.
programming, so that
Oops.
we can get as many folks to come and visit. And
Mm-hmm.
does anybody else have any questions for Betty? You
So
can unmute and ask if you wanted.
please
Sorry.
unmute. I see a piece of wood down there. I don't know if that's a person. No, that
I
might be
don't
a
know if you
tree.
want to stop sharing. We can see everybody, and that way
Stop
anybody
share.
could undo your thingy. Here, let's look at
How do
the
we face- Okay. Yeah, if you have any
spotlight.
questions, I have a whole bunch of pictures that I didn't even show you, or talk about, but I start yakking away and then, there's a whole bunch of other stuff there that I didn't even go over, but that's okay. You don't want to see everything.
Oh my gosh.
I have
It's just
I
so
have a
exciting.
question.
Pardon?
How long does it take you to make a piece?
Oh boy. That's the big $1,000 question.
Oh,
It
good.
varies.
I
I
need
mean,
money.
oh, well, the Battle of the Beadsmith pieces, you're supposed to do it in 2 months. And I'm sure there's people out there who do it all year long. And Stephen Weiss will say, don't start it until August 6th. And then you have till October such and such, whatever the date is. So, I mean, I used to do those pieces when I was working full time. And I think because I was younger, 10 years ago when I started doing it, I had only so much time and I was really disciplined with my time. And now that I'm retired, I'm like, oh, yeah, I have all day to do this. So I don't know. That's how it works. But then when I have a piece that I'm working on, I mean, it sits on my table. And when I get to it, I get to it. So I don't time it out. But, oh, I never showed you my alligator skull I beaded. Oh my God. I have an alligator skull over there in a showcase in my living room, but it's in an acrylic box. And I used to have it out, open on my table, when I did a little exhibit or show or whatever. And it weighs 8 pounds, but I bead embroidered the whole thing underneath it, on top of it, on the sides, the whole skull. And it was the first thing everybody would want to touch, and I would pick it up, and its mouth is pried open, and I have a tongue I beaded in there, and a mouth, I mean an eyeball on the tongue. And then I have the little horns on top, and it's really fun. That took me a year and a half to do, but that's because it was so boring to do because the colors are so the same. An alligator is very boring to bead. A lot of green and black and green and black and green and black. When I got to do some yellow, I was really excited to do that. So,
So
and so I
then do
haven't
you
got,
work on, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no,
Do you work on multiple pieces and just kind of
sometimes I
trade
do.
it around? Okay.
Like I'm doing that now. I'm doing a piece for something, and then I'm working on that piece I was telling you about, the Sphinx cat. It's going to be called, the Sphinx is going to be called Ode to the Sphinx cat. I don't know. That's kind of stupid sounding to me, but I can't think of anything else.
Thanks,
Um,
Serenade.
Sphinx Serenade. That's kind of nice too. I like that. I know. I don't even own a cat. I've never had a cat. I don't
I'm
know where this cat
my
thing came
cat
from.
right now, so I don't even want to talk about cat.
What about your cat?
I'm very angry at this poor cat.
Oh, you have a cat, but aren't you afraid to have a cat with your birds? Bird?
So we have this very ancient cat. She's in her 20s. She's okay.
Oh,
I had a husky. He had to go down this spring, so he was my
oh,
dog, and I really miss him.
yeah.
The other cat was my stepson's cat. His name is Kiddums. I have a love-hate relationship with him because he's not well and he has
Oh,
issues with going to the bathroom all over my house.
yeah. Maybe it's time.
Yeah, I just put Max down though.
I'm sorry.
I am
It's
too.
hard to get old. I don't want to get old
Me
either. I
either.
I
mean,
know.
I
But
have
you
issues all over
know,
my house. So
I watch that bird like a hawk when he's out. He's very wily and he's really
I
mean,
tell you,
but you have to watch him, and I do. So I'm a grandma, so I watch that. I just don't want anything happening to that bird. So when he's out, I watch him like a hawk.
Yeah. Like a
Like
hawk.
like a hawk.
Hawks eat birds
Oh, I know.
and bunnies and squirrels and
My backyard's an equal opportunity. I have lots of birds of prey in my backyard, but last year during a snowstorm, the hawk came down and took my robin in the snow. Oh, so
oh no, and you watched it.
oh, so
Oh,
mad at them because I was mad at him.
It's
But
terrible.
if I'm an
Maybe that'll be your next inspiration for your next piece,
Do a
Sandra.
bird.
I mean, you know,
Do a hawk eating a
go a little
bird.
macabre. Come on. Let's
Yeah, do something
get some
macabre in
Betty infused
February.
into Sandra, and there you go.
Do a macabre piece in February. That's what I was going to
But
ask
I
you.
think it's super fun, and
No, I do Halloween in June. Oh, I know. I start Halloween way back in the spring and summer. I have a lot of Halloween pieces I've started. Lots of them. I have a whole big piece that's like a scene, a grave. Stop it, Rosie. A whole big piece. It's like a graveyard and a pumpkin with a squished face. And I mean, I have all sorts of stuff. It's going to be a fabulous thing, but so much work. You know, when you think about it, and it's got all these little cabs glued and stitched on, but then you got to do all the bead work, and I've got fabric and the tree, and oh my God, it's so incredible. Does anybody want to finish it?
there you go.
And then I've got smaller pieces, and some of them are so creepy. You know, these cabochons that you buy from these artist people, you know, like Brenda Miller, is that her name? She does these painted ladies or women or whatever. And my husband likes to go to sports games, and I would go to them. We'd drive, but I stay in the hotel in Bead, and he goes to the game, you know, like the Dodgers or whatever, Philadelphia, somewhere, Chicago. And some of these Halloween pieces I'm working on creep me out. Seriously.
Oh,
They really do, because I try to make them as creepy as possible. And I'm like, eh.
that's
Well,
the
and didn't
fun part of the
I
process.
know, but they're all waiting for me. And I have
I
to
know.
do that. I have to make them
Yeah.
creepy because they're not realistic then, you know. And I have a cemetery about a quarter of a mile from here. I mean, people's backyards here, this is a newer neighborhood, the backyard faces a cemetery. I don't know.
I was gonna say, didn't you have that one piece that disappeared and just magically reappeared?
Oh, you mean from Tucson? Which piece?
Yeah.
Oh,
There was a
yeah.
piece you posted about, like it was
Yes. And you
missing
know
from
what
your
happened?
luggage.
You know what happened? It was a piece that I made kits based from that piece. It turned out there was this woman, we were doing trading, you know, she made this, I made that. And I said, oh yeah, I owe you something. So go to my table and pick what you want. She picked that piece, but she didn't tell me she picked that piece, the original piece. So I thought somebody stole it.
Okay.
So I'm blasting all over Facebook. Somebody stole this piece. It was her. She didn't steal it. And my son was manning my booth, and he's not paying any attention. He doesn't pay attention to stuff like that. Nobody stole it. Rosie, stop.
I think pieces travel around, and I can't wait to see where all your pieces end up. I'll be walking down the street one day, and somebody will be wearing it.
I don't know
And,
about wearing it.
I tell ya, I bet you never know. But I really, it's been so inspiring, and I can't wait to
Thanks.
see what all the different pieces you make that now are a little bit more colorful, thanks to Betty's inspirations.
You think?
And, so we're very excited to.
Well, I really like to hear, to be honest, I want to hear what everybody else does. I know what Sandra does. But I'd like to know, kind of know what Rochelle does, but I don't know what everybody else does. I like to know what comes from you all and what inspires you. I would rather trade spots and hear what you all do. Is there time to do that?
And so we will definitely, maybe why don't you post on Betty's on the
Yes.
event that we've been sharing around, post pictures
I
of
would
what
love
you
that.
make, and that way it's all in our one group chat and in the comments all on, and then we can see all on the Facebook. And so comment on Betty's event
I
and
would love
then
it.
let's see.
I'm not going to steal anything. I just
No,
like
that's the whole
people
point,
do.
is that's what this whole
Yeah.
thing is about, is getting the group together and inspiring each other. And so this way, this is a fun way to do it. And then we can all see too. It's more fun to scroll through what you see, pictures of your friends' stuff, versus random stranger stuff.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Super duper. Well, we will definitely do
you.
that.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much
Betty.
for having me.
We
I've been worrying
enjoyed.
about this for a year because I was supposed to do this a year ago.
So we're so excited. Oh, I
Thank
do have
you.
to hit stop recording.
Okay.